Welcome to the Manifestation Lab. This is your host, Kelly Howe. From the grounded science to the mystical and unseen, we're investigating this big experiment we call life and finding what really works when it comes to manifesting a life that sets your heart and your soul on fire. Welcome to the lab. In 2015, I lost someone really important to me. I lost my dad. He died after a long battle with cancer, and although he fought hard and he actually had a lot of really great years, even when he was dealing with cancer, his loss hit me really hard. I was really naive to think that somehow I already had the tools to override grief and be able to handle it well. But I got to tell you, it was really, really tough for me. It was hard to handle that loss. And while it was painful and I actually felt like my heart had broken, I think we actually do break our heart when we lose someone like that, it also broke open my intuitive abilities. I've always known, I call myself the second grade psychic. I've always known that I've got a little bit of that. But after my dad passed away, that connection between he and I was so incredibly strong. In the first few days after he passed, I could actually hear him very clearly as if he was still talking to me. It didn't come through quite in the same way like it does through your ears, but that information just flowed to me. And it got easier and easier for me to trust that I really was connecting with him. I really was having these intuitive gifts, and I was experiencing that. My dad and I have stayed extremely connected throughout the years, and I believe that losing him has actually been a great gift to me and helping me lean in and trust and stop doubting my intuitive abilities. Today, I have a guest. If this interests you, and this is maybe sounds like a story that you can relate to, or you just want to know more about that, you're going to really enjoy my guest today. Today, I'm talking to Britney Buckwalter. I am a really good friend of Britney's. We are total soul sisters. I think I say that a lot, but Britney and I have been friends for a few years. And when I met her, it was like connecting with an energy that just felt so familiar, like we've known each other for thousands of years. And I really believe we have. Britney is a professional evidential medium. Yes, she talks to dead people, guys. She's an intuitive psychic and a spiritual guidance counselor. She is an extremely gifted medium. And if you've never experienced a mediumship, either in a group setting or a one-on-one, it can be incredibly healing. You know, people can kind of misconstrue mediums and make up a lot of things about what they're doing and why they're doing it. But the thing is, you guys, if you haven't experienced a message from a loved one on the other side that really needed to get a message of maybe forgiveness or compassion or love to you, you just don't even know what you're missing out on. It is incredible. And it is possibly the most healing experience you will ever have if you've lost someone and you feel like your heart's broken. So today we'll get into the conversation with Britney. She's going to help us learn how to trust our intuition a little bit more and maybe stop doubting ourselves. We're going to talk about manifestation and what that looks like and how her healing journey has really helped her intuition and helped her profession. And I don't even know where else we're going to end up going, but what I know is we're going to have a phenomenal time. So here's Britney. People probably have an idea of what a psychic is and what a medium is, but I would love to hear from your perspective what it is that you do for a living. What do you do for people? How would you describe it?
So this is super interesting because I'm in the process of writing a children's class, and I wanted to offer the parents a really good definition of what a psychic was and what a medium was, because a lot of people don't even know what the difference is. And I discovered that there is not a definition out there that I like. So I just wrote my own. Exactly. Right. Because, if you go to, Wikipedia or, definitions.com, it all talks about being able to do things with a power that's unknown. And while I don't understand why I'm able to do what I'm able to do, I know what that power is and I know how to use it. So I'm a psychic and I'm an evidential medium. They're completely different things. A psychic is someone who can basically foresee things that are going to happen in the future based on impressions, feelings, thoughts, essentially the 5 clairs. So there's clairaudience, which is the ability to hear, clairalience, which is the ability to smell, clairgustance, which is the ability to taste. Sometimes I'll taste things if they're metally or taste like blood, and I'm reading somebody, I'm thinking, oh man, maybe there's going to be a blood issue here. Check diabetes. There's clairvoyance, which is the ability to see. And let's see, did I say clairaudience?
I think you did. I think that was 5.
And then there's clairsentience, which is the ability to just feel. So but you don't understand how you know that. And that's the psychic side. And then there's the evidential medium side. And 100% of that, it goes to spirit. Anything that I get comes from spirit, and then it goes through me. So while I am using the 5 clairs, to communicate with spirit, the place that I'm getting my information from is coming directly from spirit, versus as a psychic, the place where my information is coming from is universal. It's my own guides, and then it's just pure intuition. So
okay. I don't think I've ever heard you describe it. Yeah, no, that was really good. I don't think I've ever heard you describe it quite like that. I like that a lot. And I think it clears some stuff up. So when you're doing a mediumship reading with somebody, are you kind of doing both? Like, are you getting impressions at the same time, or is it really all just comes directly from that spirit?
When I very first began my training, that was a huge issue for me, was differentiating whether I'm reading somebody psychically or if I'm getting information for them from spirit. And so I kind of developed a way to go about it. I start off by reading them psychically. Even if I don't tell them that I'm reading them psychically, I kind of size them up and make sure that all of my own impressions that are coming from the universe and from them, from their energy, is set to the side. And then I'll begin my mediumship reading. Okay. So, and spirit is the best psychic in the world. Oftentimes they will bring up things about their loved ones that's going to happen in the future just to save them, whether it be save money or save them emotional distress or, health issues. And I don't consider that psychic. I consider that coming directly from spirit. Right.
That makes so much sense. I feel like just hearing you describe that, I mean, I'm getting so much clarity, and I feel like I know so much about this stuff. So I feel like I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense in a whole different way that I've never really let that land before. Right. So talk to me about have you always known that you were psychic? Have you always known that you were a medium?
Yes, somewhere deep down inside, I think that I always knew, but, having a feeling and then having it confirmed is 2 totally different things. And that's funny because that's kind of what this is all about. But as a young child, I saw spirit for sure. And I saw them in a form that was, 3D. It was like you and I are sitting here talking. And that's not how I actually see them very often anymore. So I knew from seeing spirit as a small child, and then, just saying things or feeling like things were going to happen. And then my mom or dad doing them, that kind of gave me a little bit of an inclination. But I always chalked it up to one of 2 things. It was a coincidence, which I now no longer believe in, or I'm just a really good guesser.
Right. And so good.
And that's where I was for a really long time. And that was kind of a dark place. But yeah, I think that I knew from a very young age that I had something going on, but I had no idea what it actually was.
Yeah. So what did that look like? I've heard the story, but I would love for you to tell the story of really learning like, oh shit, I actually do have this. Like, this is a real thing. And not only do I have it, but like, I'm really good at this. What did that look like?
Well, I became a hairstylist, and when people would sit down in my chair, and I'm thinking I was 20s, when someone would sit down in my chair, I would get psychic impressions from them. So basically, I would feel like this person had just eaten at, Fiddlesticks restaurant here in town. And they would begin to tell me, yeah, I just got back from Fiddlesticks. And I'm like, whoa. And, I would do that 4 or 5, sometimes 6 times throughout a conversation. And I would never say to them, oh my God, I was just thinking about this. But in my mind, I'm like, and after a certain period of time, it got to a point where I was like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, this is weird.
And I started reading tarot cards when I was 20, just for fun. I had no clue what I was doing. I went to a local store here in Hannibal called The Open Book, and I bought my first tarot deck. And, I had no idea that tarot and, being psychic went hand in hand either. Basically what I'm saying is I never had any idea about anything.
Yeah. So, but you just felt, for some reason, you felt drawn towards doing tarot and kind of, did you even know that you were drawn to it, or you just kind of ended up in that shop and you're like,
no, I knew I was drawn to it.
Okay.
There were I know Halloween was always like my absolute favorite. I couldn't wait. Mm-hmm. I felt comfortable and that type of thing. And then after I started reading tarot, I would do it in the closet, basically. Like I would have my friends come over in the evenings. I was too scared to admit that I was doing it because I was a Lutheran. And it was a really weird, awkward stage in my life. But
I think it's really important, though. And actually, I was going to ask you about that, because I think so many of us start in this sort of like spiritual closet because we're afraid of what our family's going to think, how we're going to be judged, and that fear is so big and visceral. I mean, for so many reasons, but maybe talk a little bit more about that, from the religious perspective.
Yeah.
What were you afraid of, or what did that look like? So
I grew up going to church every Sunday. We never missed it. And I would go to Sunday school before that. And then, had to read the entire Bible to be confirmed in 7th and 8th grade. And so I was in it. Right. And it wasn't necessarily something I felt drawn to as far as religion goes. It was more my dad wanted us to do that. And I wasn't against it. It's just the last thing I wanted to do was get up early and go to Sunday school and stuff on the weekends. But as I grew older and, started to kind of come into my own, I questioned a lot of things about my religion. And there were just a lot of questions that I had that couldn't be answered. And one of the biggest ones was, why we're supposed to not have anything to do with psychics and mediums and things like that. And, there's just this huge taboo. We don't talk about it. We don't, whatever. And so it took me a really long time to get to the point where I did. And the only solace that I really found in it was kind of comparing other things that I found in the Bible to what they were saying about me. Things like, the Bible saying that bestiality is okay, that slavery is okay, that beating a wife is okay. But being
stoning a woman to death.
Right. But, being gay and eating shrimp is not okay. So I kind of started to put things together. And I finally, honestly, this year, so after, 10 years of doing this, 5 years of doing it professional, I kind of finally have gotten to a place in my life where, I found a balance between religion and my beliefs and what I do. And it feels very freeing. But basically, it all boiled down to a book. I mean, that's what it boiled down to, because my belief in God and my belief in Jesus was still there. I believed in Jesus as a prophet. I thought his story was bomb. I believe in the archangels. I think it's totally cynical for us to think that there aren't angels out there, or that, there isn't anything else out there. But I've finally come to a realization that the one thing that was standing in my way, the one thing that was making it hard for me to move freely as a psychic medium who also has a background in religion, was a book. And so when I came to that realization and I looked at all the, pros and cons and everything about it, I just realized, I can do this. I can love him and look at Jesus as an ascended master, believe in an all-knowing source, and still be psychic and a medium and a good person.
Yeah. And I mean, I wasn't raised in a religious setting, but, interestingly, I've kind of gone through some of those same struggles because, a lot of the uber religious, I mean, they're straight up saying, if you're intuitive, you're working with demons, you're, talking to the devil, like really bad stuff. Right.
Yeah.
And, I know that there was a part of me for a while. It was like, dang, what if they're right? You know what I mean? Like, whoa, what if this is bad? But I'm right there with you where I say, like, I have a wonderful connection with Jesus and other ascended masters. And I believe in a higher source and a higher power. And, I actually believe that the things that I believe seem to be what Jesus believed as well. He was a healer and an intuitive, and I agree, a prophet and the mystic. And, so it's just an interesting thing for people to kind of reconcile and bring together. And I know for me, I've been working through a lot of, I believe, ancestral programming around it because I didn't really get it in this life, but somehow it was still in me on some level. Yeah. Or maybe past life stuff,
Wow. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Did I tell you about the situation? I went on a trip with our good friend Chantel, and I was telling her I'm being told constantly that I'm supposed to be working with an ascended master, but I have no idea which one, where to start. There's so many, I don't know anything about them. And she had said something about who are you pulled to, or I don't know how we got on the topic of it, but I said, I really feel like I'm supposed to work with Jesus. And, but I said, I have this fear within me that he's going to judge me or try to transform me from a spiritualist to, Christian, or I don't know what I was thinking, but
yeah.
And just that moment, we were sitting in Florida, and in the sky, this plane writes "Praise Jesus" in the sky.
Oh my gosh! Wow!
Right above us. So we both got a big old laugh at that, and she was like, "Well, there is your answer." So yeah.
Doesn't get much more clear than that.
No, I couldn't believe it, honestly. And so then I later did a meditation with him, and still even just talking about this makes me feel insane. But I did a meditation later after that vacation and spoke with Jesus. And he said, you are doing to me exactly what other people do to you. You're judging me. You're thinking that I'm going to try to change your beliefs or your systems. You're assuming that, what you're doing is bad in my eyes, and that's not how I feel. It was a really profound, emotional.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that all makes sense to me because, again, I feel very connected to Jesus. I really do. Yeah. And as a non-religious person, people have a really hard time with that. Yeah. But, and honestly, people don't like this conversation, but the truth is Jesus wasn't a Christian. Mm-hmm. He had his teachings and he did his thing. And he came to the planet going, I'm not going to do it the way they're doing it.
Right.
And I feel like that's what a lot of us are doing, going, yes, those are the rules. That's how you want me to play the game. But like, there's something else inside of me that says, I'm going to do it in a new way.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do it connected to spirit, and I'm going to do it with my intuition, and I'm going to be loving at the same time,
Yes. Yeah. So I know. I look at him like I just have a whole new perspective on him. And I'm almost a little embarrassed to say that it took me so long to get to that point. I mean, I've always had my heart open to him, but, on a different level. But
it seems to me like it felt like if I fully embrace that, then I'm embracing all the baggage of the rest of it.
Right. Which basically says that what I'm doing isn't okay. So that's uncomfortable. Right. And I don't want to not do what I'm doing. It's crazy because I haven't even told anybody this, and I planned on, working it into my book somehow or something. But I was doing dishes yesterday, and I got to thinking about this whole situation with Jesus. And when I was in confirmation camp, our pastor gave each one of us our own passage from the Bible. And that was our passage. We got a, frame saying it and everything. And I was just standing there thinking about how much I love my children. And, they're getting ready to go to their dad's this weekend. It's the last thing that I wanted to do. I miss them. I want to be with them 24/7. I'm absolutely compulsively obsessed with my kids and being with them as much as humanly possible. And it occurred to me, my passage was John 3:16, which is, he gave up his only begotten son. And I got to thinking,
Oh, wow.
Like someone who takes being a mother to the extreme. I have goosebumps, but taking being a mother to the extreme, that made so much sense, and it kind of made me, I don't know what it made me. It just blew my mind for a minute, but.
Oh yeah. I mean, those kinds of synchronicities, you can't make that stuff up. I do want you to tell the story of what that first real experience was, because I just love that story.
Absolutely. Yeah. So realizing that I was psychic and realizing that I was medium was two totally different situations. In fact, I didn't even know that I was psychic until I was about 26. I went to Salem, Massachusetts, and I got a psychic reading by this really awesome psychic. His name's Anthony. And it's odd because I've never been able to get in touch with him again, no matter how many times.
That is weird.
No matter how many times. I even had his cell phone from that day. Nothing.
That's crazy.
Gone. I know. So he said, you are going to be a really good psychic. And that's going to happen about age 28. And I remember thinking, I just bought this salon and that was the last thing that I wanted to do. And even if I was psychic, there was no way in hell that I would come out and tell people that I was.
Mm-hmm.
So I just kind of remember thinking, man, everything he said about that reading was spot on, except for that psychic part. There's no way I would do that. And so that was a long plane ride home, me thinking about that. And obviously that eventually came to fruition at about age 25 or 27 was when I realized, okay, this is a thing.
Wow.
And then about a year later, after I had started doing psychic readings for people, I had a really good friend of mine who was also at the time married to a psychic medium. And she told me that she would really like for me to come to Peoria, Illinois, to a spirit circle. And I felt like that was not something that I needed to do. And like I said, I was obsessed with my children, so I did not want to leave them. I didn't want to spend 3 hours on the road. I didn't want to pay the $30 to go. It just wasn't something I wanted to do.
You were not feeling drawn towards it at all.
Right. Which I think that's kind of an important lesson. And until I told that story just now, I never realized that I wasn't drawn to that.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. And I've told this story like a million times.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Weird.
That's what we call resistance. That's like hardcore resistance to what Spirit's trying to show us.
Oh my God. I was hardcore resistance. Absolutely. I dragged my feet all the way.
Yeah.
But so I ended up going to this. What happened was I got off the phone with my friend Barb and she's like, just consider coming, please. I really think you need to be here. I get off the phone with her and not 5 minutes later, my mom calls me and she said, hey, we're going to take all the kids for the weekend. Could you bring Lennon and Ledger by later this evening? And I'm like,
wow. Yeah.
She's like, I don't plan on getting them back until Sunday. Just
out of the blue.
Right.
And is that something that she did like just randomly? Yeah. Hey, I'm going to take your kids for the weekend. That's really unbelievable. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's once in a blue moon. I can count on one hand how many times that's actually happened. And it's usually a big scheduled thing and we know it's going to happen. And this was just totally out of the blue. So after I got off the phone with her, I'm sitting there and I'm like, my friend Barb messages me and she said, hey, if you can find a babysitter for the kids, I will pay for your ticket to come. And
oh my gosh, they were like hitting it from all the angles. All the spirit guides were like, all right, I got this person over here. You got this person over here. We're going to work on her. They're going to take the kids.
Yeah. Hindsight 2020. I kind of feel bad that I had to make them work so hard to get
that's what they're here for.
I'm very skeptical and I'm very analytical, so
I'm also.
Anyways, so I was like, all right. I'll be there tomorrow. And so I get there and I'm sitting in the back next to my friend Barb. And I get this really profound, there's like 3 other psychics up there. And then there's 30 people in this room. And I'm sitting in the very back with everybody else in the room who's hoping to get a reading. And I get this very profound craving for grape jelly. And it was so bad that, I mean, I was ready to like go to the restaurant next door and try to find a packet and just eat it. It was very intense. And so I said to my friend Barb, I'm like, I have never craved grape jelly like I'm craving it right now. And the lady on the other side of me just burst into tears. And she said, my husband was obsessed with grape jelly. In fact, he was known for carrying around little packets of it so that he could put it on anything and everything. Like that was his thing. He was obsessed with grape jelly.
Oh my gosh.
And in that moment, and I kind of slowly looked at Barb and I looked back, and that was the moment that I realized how this all works and how subtle it's always been. I mean, it was almost like when you see in the movies how everything comes at you. That's how it was. Like the room got smaller, and I had a million flashbacks of times where I felt these types of things happen and never said anything. And it all made so much sense. And so it just took one little situation to prove to me that was it.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible. So I think that brings me to a really important question that I continue, you know, I call myself the second grade psychic, and I
hate that you do that because you're an incredible psychic.
I mean, I've got my moments for sure, and I've come a long way, you know, a really, really long way, but I like to make fun of myself, you know, whenever I can. And I have a long way to go, I guess is my point. But if people are learning to connect, well, let's break that up into two questions. So what do you recommend to people if they right now today are like, you know what, I have weird experiences like that too. I wonder if I should start investigating this. Where do you think they should start kind of trying to open up to that and get more in touch with it?
Right. So I do something called a psychic assessment, where I sit down with someone and basically just go over all of the different experiences that they've had. And then I'll do like a energy test with them, basically ask them to read me. This does not have to be something that you pay somebody to do. You can do this on your own. So, you know, sit down with, it can't be somebody super close to you, but, you know, maybe ask a friend's friend to come over to her house and then just sit and start writing down everything that's coming to your mind. Absolutely everything, with no, you know, map, no destination in mind. Just write down everything and then see how much of that stuff connects with the person that you're sitting to that you don't know anything about. That's a really easy, quick way to, kind of size up where you're at. If you are on point, everything you're saying is making sense, then my suggestion would be that you seek out a mentor.
Okay.
I didn't have a mentor. I had to learn everything that I learned from books and just, you know, listening to my guides. And eventually I did end up studying out east with some incredible, amazing psychics and mediums. But I would highly suggest finding a mentor, or just taking a general tarot or psychic class.
Okay, good.
Even if you know that you are a medium or you think that you're a medium, I would always start on the psychic end of things, always, because that has to be developed first. And I don't think a lot of people understand you can be psychic without being a medium, but you cannot be a medium without being psychic.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Developing that psychic ability, that raw intuition is like the most important first step.
Yeah.
And of course that starts with confidence in yourself, which is so unbelievably hard.
Right.
You can get over the confidence bump and begin to trust yourself, have confidence in yourself and trust yourself. After that, you're unstoppable.
Yeah. That was going to be my next question though, is how do we, you know, I mean, I use tapping when it comes to trusting myself. If I feel myself like feeling that self-doubt creep in, I'll do the tapping and try to, you know, do some deeper digging and figuring out what that is. And that's super helpful. But I do think, well, what's your perspective on that? Because I feel like so many times, and I have clients that are working through the same thing where they are really good at connecting and getting things, but that self-doubt is just huge. I feel like a lot of that is like past life persecution stuff that they're working through. So
a lot of it is past life stuff, but not all of it. And the reason that I say that is because I feel like our ego actually plays a bigger part in all of this than a lot of people realize.
Mm-hmm.
And, our egos were put in place to keep us safe, to keep us from doing silly things and making silly mistakes that would make us look less reputable or crazy or, whatever, fear in general. And so I really think it starts with developing a healthier relationship with your own ego. Because once you do that and you say, hey, it is okay to be wrong. Give yourself permission to be wrong. And then once you do that, there's, like I said, there's no stopping you. If you're wrong about it, you're wrong about it. What's the big deal?
I love that.
I started out not charging a thing. And I try to tell my students to do this. They don't all listen to me, but I started out not charging a thing because I realized how unbelievably important building my confidence was.
Mm-hmm.
And I could not build my confidence if I was concerned about being wrong and taking someone's money. So I just cut the money part out of it.
Yep.
And I did reading upon reading upon reading upon reading until eventually those no's that I would get in the readings where people be like, that doesn't make sense to me, would eventually come back to me. And this only took like a month or two before, people were telling me, oh my God, you were right about this. You were right about this. And it was so hard in the very beginning to sit there and bring up what I was saying and have someone look at me and say, no, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
I mean, almost after every reading, there was at least 2, 3, sometimes 4 no's. It was devastating.
Mm-hmm.
But because I gave myself permission to be wrong, and because I did not charge, and I gave it a couple months to build up that confidence before I got into it hardcore, that changed everything.
I think that's awesome advice. And I did the same thing with my tapping profession because I did. Yeah, I totally did. And it's interesting because I hear that there's a lot of mentors that will say to just start charging something right out of the gate. And I disagree with that completely for all the reasons that you just said, because I think that we have to practice. We can't just go from like, I just started this thing all the way to I'm a really awesome professional. There has to be a space of practice in between where we do just give ourselves some grace and release the pressure of someone just paid me money. Now I need to perform on this really high level. And right. I did do that. Now I do think that I would not recommend that people do it exactly in the way that I did, because it took me way too long to own my worth and my value as a talented practitioner. But yes, I think starting and I love that you said like giving yourself permission to go, so maybe we'll get some things wrong. I'm practicing. I'm just figuring this out. And nobody goes from like 0 to 60. We have to go through the discomfort of not being really good at something first.
Exactly. Yeah.
Or maybe we are really good at it, but we have to, like you said, just kind of gain the trust and, I don't know, just get our legs underneath us a little bit before we hit the ground running. You started your business pretty quickly though, after that, right? Like, so you practiced for a couple of months and then you just like launched right in. Cause it seemed like by the time I met you, you were already like on the road doing shows and, working with clients one-on-one.
I'm a Gemini, so I don't do anything slow. But the moment that I finally felt confident enough and I was getting the go-ahead from my guides was when I did it. And it didn't take long. It was, I would probably say 4 or 5 months of just steady readings, people coming over to my house that I didn't know, my friends' family, my friends' friends. And 4 or 5 months. And then I didn't start doing platform mediumship until a little bit after that, and classes and stuff like that. None of that developed until about 2 years in, but just the raw reading, about 4 or 5 months. And I was.
Did you feel like when you were a hairdresser, did you feel like you were in the right space where you're like, I am, this is exactly what I'm. Yeah. What did that feel like?
Empty. It felt really empty. I remember when I decided to actually go to cosmetology school, the reason that I did it was because I felt empty, because I felt like there has to be something out there that will fulfill me. And this seems to be something that I can do and express myself. There weren't many jobs that I'd worked where I could really express myself, I guess is the word I'm looking for. So yeah, no, I felt empty and awkward, and I never truly found the same passion in it that the people that I went to college with did. And that was kind of sad, but I didn't know any better at that point in time. I just thought, this is, hey, you know, I make my own hours. I make my own money. I don't have a boss. This is great.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize that substance, that purpose was missing.
It's painful, right? When we're not quite aligned with what our soul wants. It's like, even if things are okay, if they're good or you're fine, it's like there's a real pain and discomfort when we're not aligned with what we're here to do.
Yeah.
And I know for me, it shows up. I get like, I lose all of my energy. I'm tired all the time. Brain fog. Like, I just feel like empty for sure is a great word, but I just feel like I'm kind of walking in a cloud.
Yeah.
And then the second I find something that like really clicks in, finds that alignment, it's like I'm on crack with energy. Yeah. It just like flows through me, and it's so big and it's so expansive. And I wanted to ask you about that because I think so many people are like living chronically in that space, and their soul is trying so hard to line things up to help them to pay attention to those little breadcrumbs and those little pieces that kind of light us up. But so I'm assuming that when you had that experience with the grape jelly, did you feel that what I'm talking about, where it's like, like this energy of like, whoa. Yes,
absolutely. Yeah. And that's what I felt the first time I held a deck of cards. That's what I felt the first time I did a reading that, 100% every step of the way, the person was like, oh my God, this makes sense. There was nothing that fulfilled me in that way, aside from being a mother, than this did. So, like I said, I knew that I was empty, but I didn't know what I was missing, because I didn't know that this was what I was missing. And I didn't
right.
It felt like to be fulfilled. I hadn't been that way yet. Other than being a mom, I didn't know what I was missing. It just felt confusing.
Yeah, same. I mean, I didn't know that I was going to like launch on a whole journey. I had no idea, but I do remember that place of just feeling like there's got to be something, this just doesn't feel good, and just kind of felt like I was walking around as a shell. And the thing that I remember,
really good way to put it.
Yeah, like a shell. And the thing that I remember looking back on, and I find this really funny now, is that I was obsessed with those like ghost hunter shows.
Yeah.
I loved them. But now I get it, because I'm so interested in all of this spiritual stuff. That was like an outlet for me to reach that, even though it seems so silly now. But looking back on it, that was information.
My outlet was Halloween. I mean, I thought, this is the only connection that I have.
Right. This is it.
Yeah. Yes.
This is it. Yeah. And I'm the same. Like, I went through, we had a bunch of family in town, and it was really great, but there was a little bit of turmoil, and I was feeling really heavy and kind of drained. And I went and picked up a deck of cards, and instantly I felt what you were talking about. I was like, zing. And I was like, oh yeah, I just need to do some things that are life-giving and energy-giving for me. And it doesn't have to be these like huge, profound life shifts like we had. I think if people just follow those little tiny breadcrumbs of that energy, they'll be led on the path, and life will be so much more fulfilling.
100%.
I have one more question. Well, actually I have a couple more. I don't know how you are on time, but I am just curious. I mean, the last couple of years, with all of the loss that we've had in the world, what has that been like for you as a medium? I mean, oh my gosh, I can't even imagine.
Right. So, my new norm is, I never really thought about it until you actually just said that. So many amazing things are coming out of this. So I used to be able to go out and sit down and eat and not have any issues, easy to turn it on, easy to turn it off. And now I'm kind of to a point where I don't know if I've hit a higher level. I don't know if it is this, the pandemic. I have no idea, but I have definitely noticed an increase in spirit approaching me and having to relay that message in a setting that is not work related. So there's that. And then about 7 months ago, I was on my way to a show and I got extremely sick for absolutely no reason. I still to this day don't know why. So I had to cancel the show. And on the way home, I got a download from my guides that said this was necessary for you to go to the next level. I had no idea what that meant, but I assumed that it had something to do with this. And it was after that I couldn't pick up a person's full name. And now I'm able to do that at times. I couldn't, there were just so many different things that I couldn't do, that after that really crazy day where I just felt totally ill, I've been able to pick up more. But even since 2020, it's hard to go anywhere without feeling the presence of spirit. Before it wasn't like that.
Oh my gosh, just so many people have lost loved ones so close together. I can't even imagine. Are there any messages that and this might be a complete no, but are there any messages that the loved ones are getting about what's been happening over the last couple of years, or any common themes, I guess, with the messages coming through?
The only one that I can think of, and it makes me a little nervous to speak about it because I am in no way, shape, or form political. I'm not for or against the vaccine, so I need to put that out there.
Right.
But I have had several spirits bring up the fact that that the vaccine somehow had something to do with their passing, and that to me is off.
Wow.
But I will say, even with this pandemic, nothing has touched our planet, in my opinion, as a medium, as far as cause of death goes, like overdose. Even still to this day, that is like the most common, the most often. It's just stop.
It's happening just every day. And I don't remember, unfortunately, what the statistic was that I read, but it was shocking.
Oh, I love Thunder.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah, it is shocking. And there's tons of shows out there on Netflix and, all over. I mean, people have been making shows about overdose and opioids and everything for years. But gosh, it just still blows my mind. I really thought that I would begin to see more COVID cases, more COVID related passings over drug related, but no.
Dang. Oh man. And I think so much of that goes back to people not having that connection with their spiritual or their higher self or connection to the universe, to God, and just being so cut off and isolated. It breaks your heart.
There's a million different reasons why it happened.
Yeah.
It's not it's whether it's intentional or not intentional, it's 50-50 always. I mean, there isn't any, I haven't seen one or the other, but it's definitely, I think, an epidemic that we have kind of lost sight of since the pandemic.
I agree. I think it was an epidemic even prior to 2020, but
totally.
It's a lot. I'd love to shift gears a little bit and go back to talking about intuition, but you've been on a massive healing journey, like all of us, right? All of us in the healing, mystical arts, whatever you want to call it. It's like you can't be here without trying to figure yourself out and trying to offload the parts of us and the things inside of us that aren't serving our highest good. So what has your healing journey looked like, and how has that impacted your intuition and your connection?
It's so I had I had a lot inside that I didn't realize was even affecting me. I'm kind of one of those people that, I'll go through something and then I put it in my past and it's gone and I don't think about it. And
Mhm.
I know when I first met you, as far as just emotional healing in general goes, I was not educated in it. I was not well versed. And I will be completely honest, I was a bit of a skeptic because it wasn't
Mhm.
something I knew anything about.
Sure.
So my healing journey really began when I met you. And that was
Oh, wow.
an incredible pivotal moment in life. And I know we started with some pain that I had in my wrist, and then one day I remember telling you I wanted to work on my weight, and out of the blue, I began to start tapping on my own after working with you. And while tapping one day on my weight, I had a vision of a time when I was raped. And that was something that was so far gone. It wasn't
Right.
something I'd thought about.
Long time ago. Yeah.
I didn't even tell my parents. I mean, it was just so gone.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
remember tapping and feeling water like coming out of my face, not tears, water.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
after I was done looking down at my shirt and being like, what the hell just happened? And I remember calling you sitting in a gas station and like, you are not going to believe what I just realized.
Yeah.
And
I remember that.
girl, the clouds and the sky was bluer, the grass was greener. It was literally like someone took the film and removed it from my eyes. And after that, I had begun, at that point in time, I was 222 pounds. And after that, I was able to begin a weight loss journey and be substantially motivated. I had no desire from that point on for sweets or carbs or whatever. Not that I still eat those things, but
Sure.
I was able to manage that. I didn't feel like I had to eat those feelings, and that's
right. Your relationship with it just completely changed.
Right. And so shifting from 222 pounds to now almost 70-pound weight loss, it was it played probably the most vital role ever in my ability to read.
Yeah. And then you felt like your intuitive skills also kind of bumped up after that.
100%.
Wow. Do you feel like your subconscious was putting a protective layer around you? Because I know that that's not always the case with people, but you're still gorgeous. You were I don't know how old, 20 something model, just really stunning. And this really horrific thing happened to you. And a lot of times our subconscious mind will go like, I'm going to protect myself from that, and that's when the eating starts. And I think it's partially, emotionally to eat the feelings to kind of subdue the pain.
That's exactly what I feel like happened. I feel like it was, I'm going to make sure nobody ever looks at me like that again.
Yeah. Oh man.
That was nice.
Well, I appreciate you. Yeah. I appreciate you sharing that. I know that every time I find something inside that I thought it was over, like I dealt with that, it's fine. I don't really think that anymore. I'm always like, I know there's more.
Yeah.
But I know that every time I find something big, and sometimes it's a shockingly not big event,
Exactly. But I've had where I'm like,
right.
What?
Yeah. And I have this like gigantic emotional release. It's like, I feel like every day moving forward, every second of every day moving forward, I'm a different person and I'm instantly more connected.
Right.
It's like my intuition instantly gets better and I'm more aligned and more clear. And so I think just from the intuition perspective, I would love for people to dig in and be like, I wonder what's in there.
Oh yeah.
Just so that they can get that connection stronger. I mean, among a million other reasons, but
there is something unbelievably satisfying about once you realize that you can release, negative emotion from your body. it is so unbelievably satisfying. And so I actually have a timer on my phone now where, every day at a certain time, I will sit and I'll sit with how am I feeling right now? How am I feeling today before I do my appointments? And oftentimes that results in tapping. And
awesome.
So essentially changed my life, Kelly.
Oh, girl, you made me cry. I'm getting all like teary and like goosebumpy over here.
And I 100% it's the truth.
Yeah.
But it is.
Do you feel like
satisfying? It's like cleaning.
It is so satisfying. Oh my God. It feels so good. It feels like you take like a huge winter coat, like a heavy parka and like toss it off and you're like,
Someone once described it to me as, this is not me, but as popping a pimple. They're like, it's gone.
I am 100% a pimple popper and I love that. I can relate to that.
Somebody said,
but like that satisfaction of the burst and then just like the peace afterwards.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay. So because I know that you teach a manifestation class and I love your manifestation class, by the way.
Your tapping class.
Well, thank you, darling. They go well together. I guess at some point we should talk about the energy enlightenment tour too. Maybe we'll wrap that in at the end, but what do you think, I guess in addition to what we just talked about, how has that healing work helped your manifestation process?
It's spearheaded it tremendously. And in fact, the very first thing that I say in my manifestation class is that you have to I talk about it almost like trying to make an amazing cake in a disgusting kitchen. It's really, really hard to make this cake with, clean environment. There's no grease from last night from bacon. You know what I mean? It's just
really I love that analogy.
To cook in a dirty kitchen. And so I'm like, you got to clean your shit up. First, I start with the physical pain. If you have any ailment within your body that's causing you an issue, go get it looked at, figure out what it is and treat it. Whether you treat it, with medication or tapping or whatever, treat it.
Pay attention to it.
And then once you've got that under tow, start on your emotional situation. How are you emotionally? And once you get yourself balanced emotionally and you work through some of the issues that you might have that are plaguing you daily, then you can, with a fresh mind and a balanced mindset, begin to manifest. But those two things have to happen before you can really begin to manifest. And, it just goes to show you right there, when I cleared out this negative energy that I was holding on to, these emotions about someone doing that to me, I went crazy. I started running, I started eating healthy.
Yeah.
And then it just like snowballed from there.
It was so fast too.
Yeah.
I mean, it like you clicked into gear and all that stuff that was holding you back. I mean, it was really beautiful to watch unfold because it was like, I saw you just come out and it was like, oh, there she is.
And it's funny, second grade psychic, because I would sit at night and lay in bed, and I struggle very bad with insomnia. I've since treated that, but I would sit in bed and say to myself, there she is. There she is. I'm going to be there. There she is. I would say that to myself.
Wow.
I don't think I ever told you that. So
I have never heard you say that. No, I love that.
I've never told anybody that, but I would say that was like my mantra. There she is.
Oh, wow. I mean, I had like a very clear image of it. Like, there she is. Yeah. Yeah. I love it. Oh, do you have any fun manifestation stories? Like, what's one of the coolest things that you focused on and like raised your vibe?
Definitely.
And then manifested?
Yeah. So, love for sure. When I began this journey, at least professionally, I was in the middle of a divorce. And that was just, oh my gosh, you were with me through that whole journey. That was really rough and hard and confusing, and it was awful. And so I had to work through that and really clear out the person that I was with before. I had to work on that energy and really get myself to a point where I was moving forward clean and clear, a brand new slate. Because you can't move into a relationship and take, your last person with you and all their situation and issues, how they hurt you and what they did to you. And so what I ended up doing was I tapped with you on some of that, and I tapped with myself. And then once I got to a really good space, I asked my guides, I said, okay, I think that I'm ready for love. I think I'm ready to do this. Can you just give me like an idea of what I'm looking for? And they said, right away, like there was no delay. They were like, you're not going to like his sign. Now, if they had not told me that I wasn't going to like his sign, I
forgot about that.
I would have ran in the opposite direction. They said he's going to have distinctive teeth. You'll know him by his mark. He does have distinct teeth. He does have a pentagram on his chest. They told me several things about him. And then they told me to go home and write down what I wanted. And so when I got home that night, I went home and I wrote down absolutely everything. And I always joke about this, but I wrote down everything right down to the size.
Of important parts. It's important.
It is. And the best part about this story was he came into my life almost immediately after doing that. But the one thing that I left out on writing everything out that I wanted in him was his taste in music. And most people know that I'm kind of a metal and rock fan. He's a huge country fan. And that was one and only thing that I did not write down on that paper. And, he's turned me into a country fan. So I absolutely love and adore country music now. But I just found it very funny that of all, the things, every number was hit. And so, that was pretty powerful. And I've manifested
that's a good one.
So many different things since then. But manifestation was something I didn't believe in either in the beginning.
Yeah.
So
isn't that funny? I feel like all of us are on this path of just deepening our faith and kind of remembering the truth of what's out there, and it's like we start one place and then it goes deeper. Mm-hmm. And then something happens and it goes deeper. And then something happens and it goes deeper. And I still get my mind blown all the time by things.
At the end of the day, the one key to manifestation, the only key to manifestation is the feeling. So believing and feeling that you deserve it or that you already have it, or, this is what I would do if I had it. That's the key. And so in your mind, you're thinking, you set up a plan. This is what I would do if I had this for free. Well, there you go.
Yeah, exactly. It just popped right in. I'm so glad you mentioned that, because that's the thing that I preach to everyone too, is like, you don't need to know how or the specifics. I love writing down the specifics just to give ourselves like a direction, of course. But I feel like if we focus on the feeling and we focus on being lit up and finding the places that actually raise our energy on that emotional side, we almost can't get it wrong, because we're manifesting from that energy. And so things just have a way of working themselves out.
You can't get it wrong. You're absolutely right. That's a perfect.
Yeah. I'm actually going to do a whole episode of just talking about like where I got manifestation wrong in the beginning.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. Because, and if you have any insights on that, you can email me, because in the beginning, I thought it was, of course, thoughts are important, but I didn't get that idea that we're talking about, like really, yes, the thoughts, but the thoughts are creating feelings.
Right.
And if you can harness the power of your feelings, then you're really in the power. The thoughts are just kind of like a side effect, I feel like.
Right. You can sit there all day and say, I deserve love. I deserve love. I deserve love. Use that as a mantra, put it on your screen, whatever. But if you don't believe and feel it, if you don't feel like you deserve love, or whatever the hell it is that you want to manifest, you're not going to get it. So
it's just a thought. It's just a thought. There's no energy behind it. Yeah. And I feel like so many people are getting manifestation wrong in that vein. And the other thing is, we're always manifesting, right? Like no matter what, we're always manifesting.
That's
so
24/7.
Yeah. We might as well start like kind of harnessing the power of that and using it for raising the vibe of the entire freaking planet. Right. Yeah.
That's
Girl,
right.
this has been fun. I could do this literally all day long with you.
I know.
Let me look and see if there's any other questions, maybe some short ones. I think I covered them.
Hey, does Melanie mean anything to you?
Melanie. Not right offhand.
Well, I think that maybe this has something to do with maybe a subscriber.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. I mean, you might edit that out, but I just, for some reason, felt like I needed to tell you that.
Interesting. I'm probably going to open my email and have an email from a Melanie.
Hopefully.
So interesting. Does it feel like good news or bad news?
Yep. It's got a heart next to it. So for sure.
Nice. I love that. Oh, girl, I love you. Thank you so much for doing this. I miss you too.
I'll be in Columbia June 11th, but I have a show the next day in Kirksville. So I'll be driving straight home, going to bed, getting up the next day.
No, I get it. I think I'm going to be gone that weekend anyway. My weekends are so crazy. How can people find you if they want to connect with you? You know, what does that look like?
I have a website, www.britneybuckwalter.com, but I really prefer just messages through Facebook. So I have Britney Buckwalter as the Uncensored Medium. Yeah.
And make sure you follow the right account because there's all kinds of yahoos out there copying.
I don't understand it. I don't know why, but they are.
What do you have coming up just in the next couple of months?
So I have a Columbia event, June 11th. I believe that's a Saturday. And then I have an event in Kirksville, Missouri, right after that. So trying to think, I think those are the only two. Springfield, Illinois in July.
Okay.
And then I'm going to be in Springfield, Missouri and Tennessee later this year.
Awesome. Yeah. And hopefully, so Brittany and I, with another spiritual author and hypnotherapist, Chantel Renee, do an event called the Energy Enlightenment Tour. And oh my God, those events are so fun. Hopefully we can get our stuff together and get our schedules aligned so that we can get one of those planned. And we keep talking about maybe doing a retreat. So maybe keep your eye out for that too. Yeah, I do too.
Just a lot of planning and a lot of work. And I don't think people understand how much goes in.
No, I know how much goes in on the back end. I mean, even just doing a quick event on Instagram or Facebook. It's like, there's so many little things behind the scenes that you don't realize people do until you have to do it yourself. And then you're like, whoa, exactly. At least that's how I always feel. I'm like, eesh.
Yep. My assistant and I were just having that conversation. So but we will get something going for sure.
I need to manifest one of those assistants that can do that stuff for me.
Yeah.
Working on it, calling it in right now as we speak. All right, girl. Well, thank you. Hey, you made it to the end. I want to thank you for being a part of the Manny Lab pod. It means the absolute world to me. Please consider heading over to Instagram and Facebook and liking and following so that you can stay up to date on all the content that's rolling out. Also, don't forget to follow on YouTube, the Manifestation Lab, so that you can see what we're doing with these meditations and this tapping thing. It helps to be able to see what we're doing. I'll see you in the next episode.